Hello, Troy Messina here. Look, I've just got back from the gym. Apologies for my attire, but I wanted to do this video today. I could not wait. So this video is very important. I'm going to cover off, I suppose, the worst investment properties you can buy in regional Queensland. Look, guys, I've got a lot of experience buying residential real estate here. I've purchased hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate on the ground in different parts of regional Queensland, and I know just from experience what does perform and what doesn't perform. So I'm just going to run you through a couple of property types that I think you as an investor should stay clear from. Stick around, guys. Okay, guys, let's dive straight in. So one of the worst investment properties you can buy in regional Queensland is a property that sits on a small piece of land. And by small here, I'm referring to a land parcel that's less than 500 square meters. So I've got a bunch of reasons here that I'm going to dive into as to why we believe these just don't stack up as good investments. And the first reason is land abundance. So if you think about regional Queensland in comparison to, let's say, a capital city, we have a lot of available land here, right? Land is in great abundance, whereas, let's say, a capital city or a metro location, land is generally a scarce resource, and you have to, more often than not, drive the best part of an hour to 2 hours to get to the urban fringe of town where there is new land available, where the new urban sprawl is continuing to expand. Whereas on the other hand, you only have to drive the best part of 10 to 15 minutes before you hit open pastures in regional Queensland. So land is in great abundance here, and it's not necessarily a scarce resource like a metro location. So it actually doesn't make sense to buy a property on a small land parcel in regional Queensland just because of our overabundance of land availabilities, guys. So land abundance, guys, is one of the most important reasons why I think the houses on small blocks under 500 square meters or less just doesn't perform. The second reason is we think that these properties that sit on these small blocks lack a lot of what we call owner-occupier appeal. So when you think about it, right, owner-occupiers make up the best part of 70% of the total transaction volume across most marketplaces in Australia. So it's important that you have a property that appeals to that fraction of the marketplace, because it's these owner-occupiers that give you market depth, but at the same time, they're the people that get emotionally attached to property. They're the ones that drive up prices. So when you have a property that sits on a small piece of land, what we find in regional Queensland is that they just don't appeal to that owner-occupier market. I'm talking about young families here, like a husband and wife, 2 kids, and maybe a pet. When you look at it, right, a property that sits on a small block just isn't fit for purpose for that type of market, because these families in regional Queensland, they often have boats, they often have caravans, they often have other toys, they often want to build a backyard pool or have a backyard pool, they want to have a pet, a cubby house. There's all these factors that appeals to owner-occupiers in regional Queensland when it comes to a house. But when you have a property on such a small land parcel, it lacks a lot of those key qualities that appeals to owner-occupiers. And that is a big reason why we believe they don't make for good investments. And at the same time, right, the same reasons why owner-occupiers pay an absolute premium for property and drive up house prices, there is also the rental market that find these type of properties also very desirable, right? They want to rent in these properties and use them as a stepping stone then to potentially buy in the same suburb at a later date. So when you have a property that has good owner-occupier appeal, that means it also has good rental appeal, and you can get good rental premiums over time. And when you have a property on a small block, you lack that owner-occupier appeal, you lack that rental appeal. So you don't get capital growth and you don't get ongoing rental growth. So that makes it very tricky as an investor when you don't get those two things, and your money, is basically burning in your back pocket. And the last thing we see is that a lot of these properties, when you look at the data, they just haven't performed well over a period of time. They lack no capital growth. And when you think about it, right, at a fundamental level, when you boil it down, right, property is all about the land is the thing that does 80% of the heavy lifting, the location, and the land is what goes up in value and the bricks and mortar component of the property actually is the thing that depreciates in value. And when you have such a small land holding, that's certainly going to reduce the likelihood of capital appreciation over time, because you're starting from such a small base, and a base where there's not a lot of scarcity as well. So you don't necessarily get that capital appreciation or capital growth in regional Queensland on these small pieces of land. But yeah, guys, don't fall into this trap of buying a house on a small piece of land in regional Queensland. These are our top 3 reasons, right? Because what we're actually finding now in regional Queensland is that there are a lot of developers that aren't necessarily local developers that have come into regional Queensland and are doing various developments where they're slicing up block sizes now to well below 500 square meters. And a lot of investors are jumping on these opportunities, but when you start to look at these 3 things, right, they just don't stack up as good investments. So just shy away from a lot of those developments, because they lack these 3 key qualities, and then as an investor, you're not going to get that good rental growth and capital growth. But anyway, guys, these are one of the worst investments you can buy in regional Queensland. Thank you and good luck.